Hey guys, it's Raj with Pink Chai, and today we're gonna make saag. Saag is the ultimate Punjabi comfort food. I think all of us have grown up with someone in our family that is the best saag maker. And for most people, it's your nanny or your dadi or your mom, which sets the bar so high. Okay, I might be wrong. Someone's dad might be a great saag maker, but not gonna lie, in my family, I've never come across a dude that does the saag duty. But for me, I have been really hesitant to share this recipe, even though it is the most requested recipe on our blog, just because saag is the ultimate Punjabi dish. And I was kind of nervous, like, how do you compare yourself to everybody's mom's best dish? But it's been a few years since I've been making it now. I have a process, I think I've figured it out, and I'm finally ready to share a step-by-step recipe with you guys. I'm gonna try and break it down, explain the greens a little bit, and really show each step so you can replicate this at home and have the perfect pot of saag on Lodi. So when you're making saag, you want to cut it fine, but you don't have to worry too much about it being very, very perfect or an extra fine chop, because we are eventually going to run the immersion blender through our mix. So when you're working with rappini, you don't have to throw away the entire stalk. You can use it. Just like asparagus, if you give it a snap, it'll tell you, it'll kind of show you where the cutting line is, and you can use that as a guide for cutting the rest of the stalk. So the most important step of saag after you've chopped it is washing it. All of the greens tend to hold a lot of grit because they're grown in the ground, and if you don't wash it properly, like I can feel the grit on my hands right now, if I don't wash it properly, that is gonna be in the finished product and in your mouth. So this is my little trick for making the process of washing saag a little bit easier. I use my salad spinner and I do it in batches, so it moves a little bit quicker than if I was just laying it out on the counter to dry. So everyone has different thoughts on this, but I do leave the skin on the ginger when it's fresh and soft. I'll take it off if it's old or if I think it's extra dirty, but I've given it a good scrub. And you can totally eat ginger skin, and there's lots of nutrients in it and lots of flavor. Okay, so we're gonna layer everything into the pot or drop it in there. This is our rappini. And palak or spinach leaves. Okay, so this is the slightly controversial part of my saag making. Not everyone does this. In fact, my mom doesn't do this either, but I take a lot of the same items, or almost everything that I'm gonna put in the tadka later, and a portion of it, I drop it right into the greens. I feel like that adds so much to the flavor of the saag, and it sort of spreads the flavor throughout. So I've got my, onions, tomatoes, garlic, ginger and green peppers, or green chilies, sorry, they're gonna go right into the pot. And then I also have that little bit of daikon or muli that I've included. This is also something that I think is more traditional, but not a lot of people do. I love how it adds to the flavor of the greens, and I think it's a must. So let's do it. Okay, so we have all of our delicious ingredients in the patila here now. Funny story, this pot only comes out once a year for me to make saag, but I've mixed everything up now. It's good and distributed, so I'm gonna pop the lid on and I'm gonna put it on the stove for anywhere between an hour to an hour and a half, depending on how long the greens take to cook down, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so we've been cooking our saag now for about 90 minutes and it's ready to be blended. How you know that your saag mixture is ready for the hand blender is that the thickest parts of the stock that we had put in on the rappini, it's just breaking up in my hands now. So that means it is ready for the hand mixer, and then we're gonna add in the makki da atta, which we also call alun, and that is what binds the saag together and gives it that really roasted flavor. Okay, I think that's good for me. Everybody has a different consistency of saag they like. I like to have it so it's still a little bit chunky. I want to get a few pieces of the greens in my mouth when I'm eating it, but I know some people like it really thin, or you can even do less blending and have it thicker, whatever you prefer, but just be careful that you do it slowly, because if you go too far, there's no coming back from over thin saag. Now we're gonna add the corn flour or the makki da atta right into the saag and give it a really good mix. Once it's incorporated through, it goes back on the stove for about 35 minutes to cook properly, and then we'll add the tadka and we'll be done. Okay, so we've got our saag back on the stove for one last cook with the alun in it, and in the meanwhile we're gonna get our tadka ready, or our tempering. So for saag, my preference is to use sarson da tel or mustard oil. I really like using mustard oil whenever I cook anything that's green or just leafy vegetables. I also use it when I cook pindiyan or paratha. It's a flavor I really like. I'll do a little bit of mustard oil and a little bit of butter, like a mixed flavoring for the base of the tadka. If you don't want to use mustard oil, you can easily use just butter or any other sort of light carrier oil like a vegetable oil. So like any good tadka, we're gonna start with our butter, oil, and onions. So if you are using mustard oil, just one thing to remember is that you always want to bring it up to a smoking point and let a little bit of that smoke burn off before you add the other ingredients. Okay, now we'll cook the onions until they get golden brown and sweet and caramelized. That should be about 4 minutes on medium-high heat. Just keep an eye on them so they don't burn. Keep stirring them. Okay, now we're gonna put in our garlic and ginger and our green chilies. It smells so yummy. So now that we've added all of our ingredients and they've been cooking down for a few minutes, we've added our spices. Now we're gonna let this cook down for probably another 3 or 4 minutes to make sure that the tomatoes are fully cooked through, and then we'll add it in with our saag and finish things up. All right, guys, that's it. If you thought that saag was too hard to make, I hope that this video showed you that it's not hard to make. It just takes a little bit of time, and I hope you'll try it because I know it's gonna turn out great. I, for one, am so ready to pour myself some of this saag and top it with like a heap of ghee, because if you're gonna have saag, you have to have butter on it. And if possible, eat it with makki di roti. I'm sure you're gonna love it. It smells so good. Do you guys have smell-o-vision? Can you smell it? I know you want to. So inappropriate, but I'm gonna do it. Because I'm already married, it can't rain on my wedding day. Perfect. Perfect. Mmm.